then for this year, with regard to because it says, it's the maintenance, the required maintenance and activities for each of the public schools, just so that the public can be aware of kind of what's happening over the course of this school year. The district nursing services plan for this year wasn't. I couldn't find that on the website as well. And then the other comment I had was about I noticed that the organizational chart has been amended a few times over the past couple of agendas. It would be great if someone could kind of throw it out there and make it clear why it's changing. I don't have a problem with the fact that it's changing, but it's kind of hard to figure out where the changes are happening because it kind of all looks very similar. So to understand where those changes are happening and why, that would be really great so people can understand. And then the last part was I noticed there's another professional services agreement for Dr. Nelson. In addition to the change of doctor for the school physicals and home instruction. And it would be great if at some point either administration or the board could explain how the changes to the original doctor's contract, how these changes are going to affect the budget, since the budget is tight. Because these numbers seem a little bit high. I know the rate per hour for the first doctor change is higher than the original doctor, and now the orthopedic doctor, they didn't even show that amount on the last doctor's contract. So just in terms of, the bottom line of the budget, since it's tight, that would be great. And then a comment about the parent organization fundraising. If you guys are going to be talking about that, that would be great, but I didn't see it on the agenda tonight. The Form 9510, the policy.
I think you said that was going to be on our workshop. Not our workshop, our facilities or committee.
Right.
Tonight, next month?
Committee meeting, and then you reported back to the workshop.
Okay, just because I noticed that.
So just to be fair, it's not on tonight's agenda.
Right.
So let's hold that.
That's fine.
Okay.
That's fine. But there's no workshop agenda for November. When I last looked, there's only a voting agenda for November.
It's a combination workshop.
Okay. So that's when you'll bring it up in all one fell swoop. All right. Thank you.
Thanks.
Hi, Hero Safety. Nobody's signing in. Do you need me to sign?
You say your name and address.
Hero Safety, 22 Ashar Drive, Middletown. I wanted to take a quick minute to, I see John Parcells is on the agenda to retire. And I'd like to take a quick minute to thank him for his, I won't age him, but I'm adding here, it was like almost 40 years of service. And in a time where people kind of discount people that have been around a long time, he has added an incredible amount of value. I had the privilege of being on an elementary ad hoc facility committee with him. I don't want to age myself, but it might have been 10 years now. And after being on finance committees for years, I'd never even heard of this John Parcells. This is pre this administration. And his wealth of knowledge and his ability to see what's working at one school and help other schools solve that problem and bring things together. I just personally wanted to take a moment to thank him for his service, and he will be missed. Absolutely. And then there was not a printout of the agenda, so I apologize. I don't have the reference. But as it relates to the organization chart, I know I've spoken to you about this before, Dr. George. In a time where we're all embracing inclusion, having special ed and not report through curriculum or have a heavy reporting line through curriculum is troublesome to me. I mean, my child is included in general ed, and I feel like she has no home. Principal defers to special ed. When you talk about modifying curriculum, it's very difficult. So I would just encourage looking at that process. When I look at and it's no offense to anybody, you have spectacular assistant superintendents across the board, but for somebody that has a special ed child to see it reporting through kind of a facilities, and it's almost where are we putting them versus how are we educating them? Because because I focus, for my child, it's all about curriculum. But for your org chart, she falls under special ed, which falls under basically kind of the facilities and the ad hoc areas. So I would just like you all to think about that as you keep revising this. And I know you have dotted lines or you have weekly meetings, but it's not the same thing. The talent that is sitting in that curriculum group, I have no access to for my child. So, you know, whether it's through principals or whatever, but everything that goes through the IEP, we have to sit with special ed and it's dictated through that. So if you get me, we have had a conversation, we're still going to change. So, thank you.
Thank you, dear.
Hi, I'm Sue Griffin, 1 Holland Road. I have a question about the New York Steinhardt School of Cultural Education and Human Development. See that it was added. Can you just tell me a little bit more about this program and whether it's for the students or the staff? I'm sure you'll get to it later on, but I was just wondering if you could have the conversation for the
Is that the, yes,
Okay.
we have a candidate from that school who's seeking student teaching to be placed here for student teaching.
Thank you. That clears it up.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Seeing no one else at the mic, we're going to close the mic on public comments on agenda items only. I need a motion to approve the minutes for executive session for 9/26 and the regular voting meeting of 9/26.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Abstentions? Under the report of the president, we need to accept the code of ethics for board members.
So moved. Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under the report of the business administrator, I need a motion for number 1 through 4.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Under the report of the superintendent, I need a motion for number 1 through 9.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? I'm opposed on number 1.
Close on 1 as well.
Okay, number 10 is the superintendent's update.
Yeah, thank you. So this week, members of the board and I had the opportunity, actually the honor, to attend school boards, and our district was recognized for the highest level of Future Ready certification. The internship program that you heard here tonight and the work of the student and the emphasis on the curriculum and personalized learning, student-directed learning, making sure that we are really using educational, technological opportunities for the betterment of our curriculum and really more in a more purposeful, authentic way for workplace readiness skills is an example of where the district is. There were only 35 schools in the entire state of New Jersey that received that highest level. There were 3 districts that got district-wide certification, and Middletown represented 17 of 35 schools. In addition, the Commissioner of Education, Dr. Reppelet, mentioned Middletown in his keynote address as being a district that was in the forefront of educational innovation. So I commend the work of the board. I'm grateful to the board for their support. I commend the work of our teachers, our support staff, our building level administration, our central office administration, and our curricular team for this work. I can tell you as chief school administrator, I was very proud of that distinction this weekend. I'm grateful for everybody at this table and everyone that works in this district that we were able to attain that. And for us, there's a lot of evidence that's involved in this certification process. As a matter of fact, President Obama originally started on the federal level the Future Ready Pledge, and it was all about making sure that as educational technology came online, that it was going to be about more than assessment, that it was really going to be used very purposefully as part of our daily education to make sure that we were giving our students the workplace readiness skills to create and innovate. As we say in Middletown, and we presented for the state, we presented many times as an administrative team on Future Ready. And for us, it's not about the technology, it's about the delivery of best practice instruction. So the evidence-based process that separates New Jersey's Future Ready certification, it's not just a pledge. You have to, under all the indicators, leadership, curriculum, best business practice, what we're doing, not only with hardware, with software to implement best practice teaching and learning, but what we're doing on the backside, making sure we have the infrastructure in place to really be able to deliver that instruction. Where we've come in the 7 years that I've been here, thanks to the support of the board and the work of our staff, is really nothing short of miraculous. And it gets us to a place where we're 17 out of 35 recognized in the entire state. So I just want to say thank you to the board. Thank you for everyone involved.
Thank you.
And as part of the superintendent, something Dr. George had asked me to just update the board that Dr. George and I received notification late on Friday on our state aid application to have the reinstatement of our state aid under the title of emergency aid for the current school year, the $1,177,000 we had applied for. The application was denied. They had a list of reasons why they were denying it, which included items such as the district has paying cap available, the district has a maintenance reserve, and the district typically has a small surplus. Over this year we have none. So these types of items are the things that they listed for why the aid was not reinstated. I did send out an email to other business administrators in districts I knew had also put in for the aid, such as Brick, Moss River, Eatontown, Howell, Ocean Township, and all those applications were denied as well. So we just wanted to.
It almost sounds like what they're telling us is we have to tax the taxpayers to the highest amount before they'll even consider giving us any more state aid.
It seems that that's one of the positions they're taking.
Okay, I need a motion on number 12 for A1 and B1.
So moved. Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I need a motion for number 2 through 9.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I need a motion for letter C through E.
So moved. Seconded.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I need a motion for finance, number 1 and 2.
So moved.
Second. Discussion?
And I have,
Sorry. Is that a new?
I had a question about, we had asked Amy a while back, and I don't know if anybody ever got back to us, maybe I missed it. Did we ever find out why Christian Brothers gets $50,000 in books, which is almost, is double and even more than double than some of the other private schools?
I don't have an answer on that yet. I'm still trying to navigate the appropriate person to get that answer from.
Thank you.
And again, those funds are pass-through funds, correct?
They're pass-through funds, yes.
That's a good point, but also one thing that I did add last time that I wanted to really get because CBA is the biggest of the numbers-wise, the biggest school, and they're serving most of these
Is it
things.
bigger than St. Leo's, the grade? There are eight grades in St. Leo's. CBA is bigger than just high school?
Yeah, in modern day, too.
My
Well, modern day
assumption,
doesn't surprise me.
I think that is one possible answer. I'm just saying, normally there's a per pupil amount. The other thing that I would say is textbooks on the secondary level are more expensive, like a calculus textbook as opposed to.
I will say, I do believe CBA's enrollment is between 900 and 1,000 students.
So it's based on specific enrollment numbers, based
Well,
per
that's
student.
a fact.
That is-
And I
that
think
is-
what Dr.
St.
George
Leo's
was
also
saying
has a
now
higher
is
school.
we'll probably get some larger allocation than elementary.
Okay.
Because even in our own state aid application, high school students are getting more weight than elementary and middle, so that also makes sense, but we will work on getting something like that.
That was effectively my question.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
I know it is for us,
Yeah.
not to mention, and oftentimes now with textbooks, it's not just the cost of the textbooks, but like for math classes, the software that goes along with it, and the online, it's not just the textbook now, we're paying for a textbook and online implementation as well for resources.
Yeah, because this was the August, I think this was the August meeting at central office when I brought this up, so it just does seem, CBA is a little disproportionate to modern day, especially if it's done in both high schools that don't have similar enrollments. So,
I don't know modern day enrollment.
We'll continue to investigate that. Thank you.
cool.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
For
For F1.
one.
Okay, I need a motion for student activities 1 through 3.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions?
I have to abstain on number 2.
Do we have any updates on negotiations?
Not for the public this time.
Okay. Under personnel, we need a motion for number 1 through 17, the addendum 1 through 9, and number 14 on the addendum.
So moved.
Second. Discussion. I would like to add to what Vera said before about John Parcells. I've been here a long time. I've worked with John Parcells even before I was on the board as PTA. And John is incredible. He is Mr. Middletown. He knows every inch of every building in this district and every grounds. Without him, I don't know where we would be today. Every time there's an issue, John knows. He knows where it is, how to find it, recommendations on how to fix it. He has guided this district all the way in a positive manner. And he is truly one person that I think we are going to have a very hard time replacing. He has big shoes to fill, and he has always put Middletown first, our schools and our students, always the safety of our students. So I would like to thank him for all his years of service. And Mr. Gannon is here. He's going to be voted on for our assistant principal at Bayshore. Here, but I'm sure everything's going to be fine. If there's no other discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? I'm abstaining on number 16 on the regular agenda. Okay, old business.
I just want to do a quick follow-up on the shared services, follow-up on shared services in general. We had a meeting scheduled for November 1st, so this week with the township to discuss shared services. However, we were notified today that the township, it was supposed to be 7 o'clock or 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock.
We were notified today that the township requested a reschedule to 4 p.m., which is not acceptable as the majority of this work following the board. So right now, unless Amy has learned anything in the ensuing time, so we do not have a shared services meeting on the schedule. Hopefully the township will be available to another time.
The response I received was that Mr. Mercantile would check with the committee to see whether they could accommodate a 5:30 start.
is that there is currently a meeting on the calendar for November 13th, as we do second Mondays. However, November 13th is Veterans Day. And so I believe the township...
November 12th.
November 12th, sorry.
Okay.
So I believe the township, we have to work with them to get the revised date. Has there been any conversation with Mr. Murphy there?
Not on that meeting, because we've been focusing on scheduling this November 1st.
The school's open on Veterans Day,
Right.
12.
Right.
Well, Sunday, you were recognized.
The town is closed.
Township's closed.
So what are the big items against the shared services?
Off the top of my head, my notes,
Yes.
we expect them to provide us a proposal for the renovation of 2 fields at Bayview Elementary. We also have on the docket a conversation about school security and possible shared service of Class 3 officers. That's a pilot program that we will explore with them. There's discussion about fees that the township charges us as a surcharge to the rental or the overtime payment of police officers and our vets. And we've got discussion or revisiting of the use of Board of Education facilities as polling places. Again, that's related to school security. So we've got a few things on that.
Are we still following up on the field, potential field at Thorn?
The potential field at Thorn was raised 4 months ago as part of the review of sort of the give and take on the shared service permitting arrangement in general. What they told us was that in their estimation, the field at Thorn, turf field similar to what we have next to Nut Swamp, is not feasible within their budget due to the high water table, but no follow-up was given and no replacement project was put forward.
Okay,
That's
just so you know, when we had originally done this 2 years ago, we knew that we couldn't do a turf field there. So the discussion turned to putting the field a little bit closer to Harmony, away from the wetlands, and that it would be a grass field. And because it wasn't going to be a turf field, it would also have, I'm gonna lose my train of thought in what it's actually called, a concession stand slash rest station.
Like a little hut.
There was a word for it, but I'm not going to think of it. But it was a concession stand and have restrooms, just to kind of balance out the fact that we weren't getting a turf field. So if you could just follow up on, if that's even something.
Yeah.
Just to give context, though, I think it's important for me to give context. So, when we have some great work with the township when it comes to fields. We have the Nut Swamp field, and not only and the lights that have got on the Nut Swamp field, and during the day, those are used all day long by the school system. And when we were having those discussions, Danielle, that was before the Croydon Hall field that is used all day long and after school by our athletic facilities.
It wasn't before. It wasn't before.
That's all part of the same conversation.
Not
That's-
before it was finished, though. I think the point that they were making was that they were trying to give us a field, work with us for a field for each middle school. So Croydon was kind of the one that went with Bay Shore, Nut Swamp went with Thompson, and then we were going to work on something for Thorn. The point was to get...
The problem with Thorn, every step of the way, yeah, the thought of the Thorn field was when we were hoping we were going to be able to take dirt from the Croydon field as it was being removed and place that dirt at Thorn, but we were not able to do that. So, I just want to point that out. I mean, in the thought of collaboratively moving forward in good spirit, when I look out the window at Bay Shore every day and I see the Middletown Board football team out on that field in Croydon, that was only made possible by this ongoing shared service work that we've done. Yes, I would think, Danielle, absolutely pointing out that if there's more work to be done, a place that we have to focus on is that Thorn Field, and I completely respect and understand why you're saying that. But I mean, we're kind of summarizing a lot of conversations through a lot of years and a lot of work. So we have to be careful.
I think the
I don't want you to
conversation
say-
should take place, though. I don't think we should
And
try.
Oh, yeah.
I don't want you
I-
to mistake it for a criticism. It was a conversation that was had in the shared services meeting, and they told us that they were gonna work on those fields.
I'm
that's-
sorry.
Like I said,
I
it
didn't
wasn't
do that as a criticism.
I wasn't criticizing our work with the township committee. I think it's great that they worked on the 2 fields. It's
And,
just-
and I'm not
I
criticizing
just
you,
don't want
I'm
to see Thorn
giving,
being left behind.
I'm just giving the general public a little bit more information into that, because not everybody was there at that time.
And there's definitely a commitment amongst the 3 of us on shared services to bring that up, because it was discussed that it was May or June we talked about that, it was several months ago.
Can I just suggest that since this is a committee-based discussion, which is exempt from the Open Public Meetings Act, and since some of the discussion that we're talking about getting into, the update was great, but some of the terms and conditions of back and forth negotiations are a little confidential pursuant to law. So I would suggest that we stay away from getting into specific wants and responses. At this forum, when we're in closed session, we can do that. That's my.
I just had another question about agenda items. Are fields in general, and I apologize, is the Lipcroft flag league part of the shared services in terms of where they're going to be next year? Is that sort of our, like,
That's
where's that
not,
set up?
so the way it works is that we provide facilities and fields to township.
No, I understand.
Township handles the permitting.
Gotcha.
So any, the dispute with the Windcroft Flag football came up because we had 3 fewer fields to offer this year because of the work being done at Thompson. And so that resulted
Understood.
in them having to find all.
Is next year going to be an issue too, or is that?
I think that's something that we'll have to discuss once we.
See how the grass grows.
Yes, that's exactly right. See how the
But
grass
that's not a shared services
No,
topic.
we're gonna
That's
keep
our
it
topic.
grass.
That's our topic. I'm just asking, is it shared services?
The shared service part of that would be us working with Mrs. Dellett to provide her the list of fields that are available.
Okay.
And then she works with different. Yeah.
And I just want to say on that too, that the township rotates their fields, and we're going to have a constant need to rotate our fields. And so that's going to be an ongoing collaboration. I know, not just in shared service, and I don't want to speak for the board, but in the time that I've been here, there's we are, our 17 schools, from the spirit of our board, in the time that I've been here, has always been that these schools do not just belong to the Board of Education or just belong to the number of students they're zoned to, but they belong to our community and our residents. And I'm speaking for current members too. I know that our emphasis has been and will continue to be to make sure that we work with our community, whether it be Girl Scouts or Boy Scouts or PFA meetings or after-school events or before care, after care, tutorial work, to make sure that these facilities are available for our school community. And we have students all year round playing basketball and soccer, and the board has always, and other sports, I don't want to just mention those, but just off the top of my head, and many other activities are available to our community, and the board, that's always been the position of the board. I know that's the position of the current board, and we're going to continue to do that. But when it comes to a rotation of field, I just think we need to say that there's always going to be a rotation. There's going to have to be a rotation to maintain the health of those fields, just like there's a rotation.
My question is just, is it part of shared services? In other words, is that going to be annual? There.
You're good?
It's an administrative responsibility.
And then you brought up a couple other things. The YMCA, I think we talked about that a month ago, and I know you sent me an email. How's it looking in terms of are all the schools sort of straightened out? There's capacity issues and personnel issues. I think Fort Monmouth, is going to have their own now, where they're being busted. That's correct. If there's any changes we should know about, or any schools that are having particular issues with it before or after care?
Well, we're just looking to build capacity and to take the students that are on the waiting list offline. And the 2 biggest waiting lists, Harmony is one of the biggest waiting lists. And so the opening of Port Monmouth is one way we're addressing that. Another way we're addressing that has been our intention all along is to open up or to expand the rooms that the before and after care are using. So the primary space is that open space. We're expanding into other areas so that we can apply for more students to be able to take advantage at Harmony School. And most specifically, that's our strategy for Lincroft. Not Lincroft, I'm sorry, not Swamp. Not Swamp is the next biggest one, then probably Lincroft after that. So to increase our capacity and to try to take all students off the waiting list and to expand on the numbers that we can provide in the future, that's one of our strategies to address that.
Personnel-wise,
as well
why
as,
don't we fill those slots? I'm guessing we need additional.
yes, the
So I know
Y
that's something you brought up.
continues to work to address those issues. To the best of my knowledge, the staff's in place to, or the staff is in the process of being put in place so that we can expand to Port Mountain. And the numbers at Port Mountain expanded, and they were sharing with Harmony. So now there's enough to have our own school, which opens up additional spaces at
I think you're right, one of the biggest problems was they were having a hard time finding help too,
I think so, yeah.
And I think the district has advertised for them, they've advertised, and I know every time I run into somebody that says they're looking for something, I always recommend, you know, that the YMCA is looking, the food service department is looking. You know, it seems like there's not as many people looking for work, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, so.
Yes.
The other question I had was, in general, I'd like to understand from our athletic department how freshman football, for example, is monitored. In other words, how are the reporting lines to the head coach? There's some questions about, I guess, concussion protocols. And the freshmen, usually the freshman units are a little bit separated from the rest of the team. And questions about follow-up on various concussion situations. So I'd like to understand, one, what our concussion protocols are, and two, how are the freshman teams, how are they monitored in terms of by the head coaching staff, right? Because the JV is usually integrated with varsity, and then you have a freshman team. In today's environment, there's a lot of sensitivity to that, and for someone who's involved in youth football and trying to encourage people to stay, or continue to go on, the next step before you get to the high school, that freshman year where they collect kids who played, youth and did. So I'd like to understand, one, how that management structure works, and then two, in general, how concussion protocols operate and how they follow.
So the first, that's a building level issue that you go through the building level administration in coordination with the athletic director.
Right.
But the principals on any issues as they relate to co-curricular would be the first point of report. And if there was a concern, a meeting would be set up between that person and the athletic director. As far as anything medical, concussion protocols are handled directly by the trainers and reporting from the coaches to the trainers, and then from there we would want medical expertise and doctors involved.
So the friends or principals and Mr. Carroll?
Yes. To address the question in the chain of command, yes.
One of the things too, I know we mentioned a few times, but vocational programs, I've heard the discussion come up a few times. How are we going to approach that? They were talking about it a couple of years ago, introductions to middle schools. How do we have, is it going to be part of the strategic
I think
planning?
that's kind of financial for us right now, but yeah, I would hope that that would be included in the vision of the district for the strategic plan.
Is that where next time we're going to talk about it?
Well, we haven't really discussed it as a board because we don't have the finances right now, am I correct? Because we did talk about bringing back vocational, but I mean, I know there's a state initiative to it too, because I asked to be on that committee, and unfortunately it wasn't picked, but I haven't heard the update from that committee yet either.
Maybe Mrs. Pekas can answer this, but I know that we have some shared time programs at the high school. So, we are addressing it for sure at the high school level. And then certainly with the new middle school schedule, a lot of the electives are more hands-on, maker, to me, which kind of falls into vocational.
Career exploration,
Yeah.
business management, personal finance.
So to me, that's exploring vocational education. And of course, the halftime, the shared time programs that we have already with the high schools, I think, of course, there's always room to improve, but we are having some budget issues right now.
Yeah, I thought John was looking back at when we had a discussion once before.
Yeah, it
bringing
wasn't
back
really
the
about like,
actual
the execution of it, it was just sort of thinking
Yeah.
about what we'd like to have. I mean, finance,
Right.
we haven't really even gotten, there's certain pieces of data we don't have yet, but in terms of what we'd like to do, ideas that other districts are doing or other places, I know it keeps coming up, that focus on college prep. Middletown's did a very good vocation. I use the word vocation, whatever the career readiness. Where people had, actually meaningful internships. I think actually Jim had said that he's been part of that program and he's nice. Thinking about those things, you get them tracked to not only, mental shop, but to actually go with businesses where they get internships and maybe use some of their time to go and maybe, head towards a trade union or.
Right, that's kind of like that, right?
Yeah.
The program at the high school. One other thing I want to mention that a lot of school districts, and something that we did talk about here in Middletown, the idea of turning media centers into maker spaces. It's quite costly, but they have laser cutters and 3D printers and, all kinds of hands-on exploration, but it also, right now, is super expensive and something probably can't afford to look at.
I
right now.
like to shell it out though. Right?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I
At least
agree,
have a shell.
yeah, I agree with John, and I think that what Robin brings up is a good point, because as the students who came up earlier, and Mr. Suak put up there, there's going to be a shortage of coders, computer scientists, and those are, you could almost say those are the trades of the next 20 to 50 years, it's, you need less people swinging hammers, you need more people who know how to use the computers, there's a computer in your heating and air conditioning, there's a computer in every car, so they need that, not just the hands-on, like physical making stuff, but also the coding, technology, understanding code, logic, things like that. So when we do, not only for the strategic plan, but I guess, maybe something for the curriculum committee to consider would be how to integrate all of that. And then doesn't Brookdale have like the next few steps of that? So you learn, you get the basics here, and then you go to Brookdale where they do have that advanced, technology for like automotive and HVAC and stuff like that. So
That's
maybe-
cool. I think that's also in Freehold, Kowalski
Yeah.
Drive. They have a
That's
big
part of the
vocational
Monmouth County
center.
Right.
vocational
Yeah.
program.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'll chime in there now.
Okay.
So I think when we look at our budgets and what we can do, there's two different things that we're talking about. Career readiness skills as it relates to current curriculum and we're doing that through our pathway program, right? And we have, we're addressing those through the pathway program. As it relates to trades-based vocational programs, for us to duplicate the services that we can get from the county vocational system with everything from culinary arts to electrical to HVAC to
Woodworking.
all things exactly as it relates to the trades-based education. It has never been our recommendation to duplicate those services that have already been provided for us by the county. And we've developed strong relationships in both high schools with those county vocational programs. And there are other programs that we didn't even mention on top of that. I know that my wife just got her hair cut the other day in Middletown by a graduate from the Middletown Public Schools who went through that trade-based program, which that's in Hazard, right in front of Raritan High School, which happens to be John Parcells' daughter, by the way. So, I mean, there's, certainly there's really strong, well-developed programs, and not only the resources to duplicate those programs, but the facilities to duplicate those programs go beyond our budget. So, just to be realistic, I think we have to remember that as well.
I think to add to what Robin said, I know when we went to school boards, I don't know if you guys got to go there, they had this STEM center. A lot of that is done in the maker spaces that some of the schools have, and I think in order to get them. A lot of the schools went to referendums to turn those spaces in, but they have a lot of the trades in that. And the things that those kids built and the way they explained how they did it at this session was amazing. You know, what they can do and what they can reach through these classes.
Well, that's already being included
Right.
in our schools, and
Yes.
a lot of the evidence that we're talking about where we are with Future Ready. As a matter of fact, part of our design for the, redoing the media center of both high schools, as you know, included those makerspace areas. But as you already stated, there's an expense to that in these ever-shrinking state aid and budgets.
You'd have to change all the ventilation. There's a lot.
It's a lot
with the
to it.
makers,
A lot of
consider with the
expense.
makerspace, so.
That's why a lot of them went through referendums to do that, because it's very, very expensive. Structural changes. But it's a trend that you're going to see more and more of.
Well, we have started exploring that just to get information for discussion purposes. And we have had our architect look at our spaces and give us some feedback on what would be necessary and some really rough budget costs. So it's not that that hasn't been a consideration, but as we
No, we have.
talked about, it's going to become a matter of prioritization of our resources.
I assume that this is old business because we had the presentation last week. Just because I know there's a couple people in the audience who are here probably to talk about it, do you want to give an overview of maybe addressing some of the concerns about the new integrated program?
Yeah, it's probably
Maybe we can have.
probably a good time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Kim, do you want to lead that discussion?
So we have communicated with some parents who have asked for more information regarding the program, both perhaps because they have students who they believe this may be an option for, and they were wondering how they could go about looking into that as an option. As we stated last week, or I guess it's 2 weeks ago almost now, a week and a half ago, this is a regular education magnet program, just like our ESL magnet program, which is funded through regular education and follows regular education curriculum. This is for kindergarten students who, for a multitude of reasons, may have had either a lack of prior schooling experience or other more sensitive family issues that I don't want to get into too much because I don't want to weigh into other people's private business, or just a general, maybe a delay in developmental social emotional skills, that they're experiencing a tough time transitioning into a kindergarten program. That's usually because they lack. There's a gap in their experience with being in a school setting, with demands being placed on them for the first time. So the idea coming out of our INRS committees in our 12 elementary schools and hearing that they're experiencing these kinds of situations where a student may not have an organic need that would justify perhaps a special education program or something of that nature, but perhaps one where it is, again, more social emotional, and there's need to fill a gap in those social emotional skills that are required, and necessary to be successful in a classroom environment, and to really help them learn how to self-regulate their feelings, their emotions, things that typically are learned either through a structured preschool experience or by participating in recreational activities, like peanut soccer, those kinds of things.
Having older siblings.
Exactly. So we have been working with a group of principals and SBSSs, and we actually invited supervisors. We asked, not invited, but we included supervisors from special education because we thought that they could lend expertise in the area, because one of them especially oversees the preschool program. And we were looking at this as really a void in preschool experience for the most part. So we were wondering how we could backfill that void for some of these students. And we have curriculum directors also involved in this committee. And it really would go through the INRS process. A student would be identified either by any general education identification occurs, either through the parent suggesting that they're witnessing or experiencing difficulty in helping their child transition into a formal kindergarten experience, or the teacher asking the INRS committee to give them suggestions for how to help support a student who may be experiencing some difficulties. So the INRS committee in each school would meet, and there obviously would be a period in time in which data would be collected, interventions we would put in place in that first classroom environment, and you would look to see, is the student making progress? Because just because maybe I lacked, if it was me, preschool experience doesn't necessarily mean that I may not be successful in kindergarten. Just because I may be young for my age doesn't mean I'm necessarily going to have a difficult time in kindergarten. Just because my family may have experienced some sort of traumatic situation like homelessness or displacement doesn't mean I'm going to be, and I'm just using that as an example, not successful in kindergarten. But sometimes when multiple factors come together, it places a hardship on the child to be successful, or there is this now inherent gap in their social emotional skill sets. So we look to backfill that so that the student can be ready to learn and be available to learn in a productive way. So just like we do our ESL magnet program, and at the high school level we do like an Arts Academy magnet program where we pull students from different schools across the district to provide direct instruction that usually is incidentally or sometimes purposefully given in our kindergarten settings when developmentally appropriate. But again, these are students who there's a gap existing right now for them, so we're trying to close it. So the idea was that we were not going to return to what many districts, including Middletown and Manalapan, where I previously worked 10 years ago, where we had like an extra year of school. It used to be called like a transition kindergarten or a transition first grade, and you basically, instead of doing 13 years of school, K through 12, you did 14. We were not intending to do that because research has showed over the last 10 years that those types of programs didn't necessarily close the intended gaps or result in the positive outcomes you were hoping for. So we would follow the traditional kindergarten standards, but make modifications, like we would do for any student when exhibited need occurs, to the delivery, or the way in which the standards are delivered, so that there is intent, and of course, most purposefully, include intentional direct modeling and teaching of social emotional skills and self-regulation, and things like, and I'll quantify social emotional, so turn taking, sharing, how to make friends, how to deal with when I've had a demand placed upon me and I don't know, I'm not happy with that and I don't know how to respond. So that is the type of curriculum that we were looking, or activities and modeling and instructional supports we were looking to put in place in this program. At this point, the committee, it is new. We are trying to be forthcoming and transparent in our process of this. We have created a lot of materials to help us accurately identify the right types of students for these programs, because it's not for everyone. We certainly wouldn't want to delay a student who has more of an organic need, or a need that would allow them, or it would be more appropriate to provide a special education intervention. We wouldn't want to delay that if that was the case. So we have to be very thoughtful and about the data that we collect and analyzing that, and working with the parents and the INRS committee to identify if this is an appropriate placement for that child.
For voluntary.
Yes, the parents would agree, just like they do for our ESL program,
right,
or any other magnet program we offer in the district, for their child to be part of that program.
Thank you. Good. Thank you.
Okay, under new business?
I just have one thing. I wanted to thank the board and the administration. So I attended school boards, and it was a very enlightening experience. It was sort of overwhelming to meet, administrators and school board members from across the state. And I think that Middletown represented itself very well, as Dr. George mentioned. We were honored with the Future Ready Schools silver level award, which was amazing. The focus of Future Ready is all around that STEM part, and we were also well represented more in the arts part. Mr. Corey and Mr. Babers presenting their documentary, their student film. So the students in the Middletown South film class, they, over the course of a year and a half, put together a documentary called Sonic Highways, which is a 3-part sort of dive into the history of live music performing in Middletown. So it went all the way back to Stevie Van Zandt and Bruce Springsteen and some of the quote local legends and the Hullabaloo Club that used to be where Union Square Plaza is now. And it went all the way through, right? And it went all the way through the current, Brookdale Public Radio, which is here in Middletown, as well as some of the exploits of the Middletown South basketball pep band. And it really just explored the history of music over the past 50, 60 years. So that was very well received.
So professional.
They did an amazing job, and I thought it was an interesting. I thought they were very complimentary to see the district honored on the technology side, and then to see the arts come right through and wave their hands and say, nope, this is really going to be STEAM, as Stevie Van Zandt had said. So I'm just very proud of our district. So I want to thank you for the opportunity to be there.
I'd like to jump on that a little bit too, because not only were we presented by the filmmaking, but we also had some of our Future Ready teachers that are presenting and teaching at Future Ready Center. So it seemed like there were Middletown staff almost all over that convention this year. And it was really proud to see when they presented us with the silver award. It took 2 slides to present Middletown. There were slides with 1 or 2 things on there. We had all 17 schools, and people were amazed. Watching our teachers present, Mr. Bears and Mr. Corey, there were other students there from other districts wondering and asking them, how did you get this far? How did you do this? How did you get this class in your district? It was really nice to see people surrounding Middletown to take advantage of what we offer and what our kids actually can do and our teachers can teach. So it was really proud. Yeah.
Wendy
Morales, Dan Austin, they're all there, and it was very impressive. So Middletown definitely put quite a few stars on the school board's convention, and it was well worth them all going down there. And it was really exciting for us to see our district spotlighted, for all the good things that our staff and our students are doing. The other thing is, under new business, we're having a student services meeting on November the 12th, Monday night, and our insurance company will be there, and I know that some board members have indicated they'd like to be there. So if you plan to be there, please let me know by Friday so that Amy could sunshine the student services meeting, at least for the legal part. Because I know we talked about that last week. Some board members said that they wanted to come when the lawyers were there. So I want to give them that opportunity. It is at 6 o'clock. 6 o'clock. No, I'm not saying insurance, I'm saying our lawyers for special education. Yeah.
Oh.
They're coming to the student services meeting. Did I say insurance?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. No, insurance, lawyers. I'm thinking insurance because that's the next thing.
They did say lawyers too.
Because our insurance company is coming to one of our other facilities. So, yeah, our lawyers for special ed. We haven't met with them in a couple of years.
Yeah.
It's a good opportunity for us to sit down, talk to them, and ask questions, and for them to update us on their part.
Eric.
Eric
Follow
Allison.
up on that, thinking ahead. The meeting is on Monday and the district is closed.
That's what I said, by Friday morning.
By Friday, if we can get that out, because we get it out to the schools.
Right. If I don't hear from people by Friday morning, then Amy's not going to sunshine it. But if I hear from you, we will sunshine it. Okay, because we don't want to leave anybody out of that. Also, I just want to, say to the public, don't forget all the things that are going on in our district this month. November's a short month, but it's a busy month. There's a lot of things going on in our schools. There's a lot of athletic competitions going on out there, like we heard before. Tomorrow night is North-South field hockey in a championship against each other. That should be a great game. Our soccer teams, our football teams are doing great. Our academic clubs are meeting, and they're succeeding in their competitions. So, keep an eye on the websites or your school pages, and try to attend and support our students in these events. Anybody else, new business? Okay, being no other new business, I'm going to open it up to the public for a 30-minute opportunity to speak on any item.
Hi, everyone. Gally Milton, 42 Blevins Avenue. Back again.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Okay. So, yes, so my comments are tonight are from the Middletown Friends of Different Learners, which is the District Special Education Advisory Council. And so my comments are regarding the Integrated Kindergarten Pilot Program. First of all, we'd like to commend the district for identifying this need and being so responsive and quick to act about it. That's really awesome and says a lot about the motivation of our administrators. So thank you so much for doing that. Our comments are really around the process and the program and the research that supports it. So our major concern is basically that students are being moved from their home school into a specialized classroom, and that it's being done so quickly. So our concern is really, it makes us wonder, is the tiered intervention model robust enough? Is there a way that we can put some of these things in place within their home schools? Because when you factor moving the child after 2 months into a different program and then trying to move them back, you wonder, is there going to be some negative consequence to that? So that's one area of concern. I realize I only have 3 minutes and I'm probably not going to get all the answers, but Dr. Heather Safford and I put together a letter, and hopefully maybe we can get some answers later that way. So that is one area of concern for us. Also, the other area of concern is, can a Tier 3 intervention be done in the home school? And is that a choice? Is that going to be a choice for parents? We'd like to understand how, in light of the inclusion research, where this fits in, because our understanding is that inclusion is the best practice, and so we'd like to understand how does this fit in, and if there are other examples of model programs that have worked, if there's data or what the literature says about it. Because again, this is a vulnerable population, and we just want to make sure that we're going to go through all these measures, that that we're making some really good educated decisions. And then lastly, I think you addressed this, Mrs. Pickus, is will this still respect the identification process? Because possibly there will be students that even after this type of intensive program are not responding to a Tier 3 intervention. So we just want to make sure that at that point that parents and teachers will still be able to refer, and that there's going to be no delay in these children becoming identified. Because as you know, many mental health issues may not present as academic necessarily. So that is an area of concern for us. So that's kind of it. I tried to do my best in 3 minutes, but I do have these letters, and we can pass these around, and hopefully we can I don't know if there's anything that we can get responses to now, or if maybe at a later date we can get responses.
Yeah, I think reflectively we'll review your request, and then we'll take it to our next meeting. When is our next, off the top of my head?
Later.
Whatever our next meeting is, we'll take that and we'll bring the appropriate answers to that.
And I apologize for being out of process. Typically that would be the route that we would go. And, and I understand that this is an administrative decision. We just want to have a little more information that'll help us also give our parents, when they come to us, an understanding of all the offerings in the district, and help them make the best decision for their kids.
Thank you, Ms.
Thank you.
So facilitate the
presentation can be attributed to multiple factors that influence child development, including ADHD, including, home environment, because these factors can influence it. But I think we need to consider the harm of taking the child out of that home environment. When you start to look at attachment theory, which should be considered in this situation, I've also provided some resources on attachment theory in the classroom environment and published articles that kind of identify that removing a child from the classroom can in fact lead to oppositional defiance disorder, can lead to conduct disorder, can actually harm the child's development as opposed to helping to develop those emotional regulation skills that are essential for the child to move forward. The significance of the school environment cannot be underscored because the school environment may be the only safe place that child moves. It's the structure the child needs in order to feel safe, in order to feel valued. When you pull that child out after 2 months of trying to form relationships and you put them in a different location with other children who are having the same difficulties with communicating, socializing, and interacting appropriately with peers, you're sending them a message. The idea of providing an environment that's less demanding, less structured is brilliant. It's a wonderful way, and it's exactly what kindergarten should be. But, you're saying that the curriculum can be, followed in this different environment for the kids. Why can't you provide that environment for all of our kindergarten children? Why can't we look at reducing the structure or reducing the demands on the kindergartens that are in place right now? There's programs that are being developed in other schools known as attachment-aware programs, and there's school-wide programs that follow kind of like the PBIS program model that really embrace these children. They give them that home, they give them that sense of belonging. When you take one of these kids and you kind of greet them at the door and you say, we want you here and this is your job and this is what you're doing, this is how you're going to meet these kids. You're not going to meet them by putting them in the class with 15 other kids who are struggling with the same issues. So I do think it's a great idea. I'm so happy that you're identifying it. I work with these kids. I see it happening. I see where they struggle. I'm really concerned that how you're identifying, how you're addressing it might be a little more harmful than good. So I did also include some resources.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Anybody else?
Here, Paseki, 22 Ashar Drive, Middletown. Before I talk, I just want to make sure that I understand because I know you used the ESL comparison. And as I understand with ESL, that was more a consolidation of your services. So you brought children with ESL into a gen ed setting so that you didn't have your services going to 12 different schools, for example. They were not segregated into a separate ESL class, 10 to 12 kids, correct?
They are brought to identified magnet schools where the ESL services are provided.
Correct, in a general ed setting.
Ma'am, can we just respectfully have you state your question and comments and then the board?
I just want to make sure we're comparing apples to apples because as I understood, because I listened very closely to the ESL discussion, and I was very impressed because one of the things that Dr. Pincus said was that the research shows that embedding instruction in the classroom is the way to go. And I just want to make sure that we're comparing things like ways because I think we're talking about two separate things. Many of you know this is probably an emotional topic for me as it relates to removing children from their home schools. And I'm worried about culturally what we're saying. I'm worried about what we're saying to the other kids, that we're saying if you're different, if you don't behave or you don't make the grade, you're gone. I'm not quite sure why this is not a board decision, so I guess that's one of my questions. Why is the removal of children from their existing program, setting up a completely new program and pilot, not a board votable decision? So that's one question. The other question was the ESL comparison. I'm just making sure I'm getting them down. I would also be very curious on making sure that we see a documented policy for this removal, the level of RTI, parent contact involvement, and I'd also most importantly, and I would hope that the board would like to see also, although the discussion talked about the importance of social and emotional well-being to advancement and doing better in academics, I didn't hear any discussion about research or data that shows that these segregated classrooms work, and I would like to see that research that supports this pilot and where we're placing these children. I'm probably one of the parents that has a typical child that might have been targeted because kindergarten was not a great year for him. I think we all, one of my daughter's best friends would constantly laugh that she cried from kindergarten to second grade every day when she went to school. And she's now graduating from high school and doing fine. I know there are big issues out there, and I'm so glad you guys are looking at it. I'm just so worried. It just seems like everything. I mean, if you're gifted and talented, you might be pulled out. We really need to embed these instructions on social and emotional as well as academics into the classroom, because it will benefit so many kids, not just these 10 to 12 that you're identifying. So I would, I'm very happy that you are looking at this, but I would encourage you to look at a different approach. Thank you.
Sue Griffin, 1 Holland Road. I'm just going to piggyback on the kindergarten thing first, but then I have a separate question also. As far as the kindergarten goes, I understand and I applaud the steps that you're taking to help these struggling children. The one thing I would ask, is there any way that we can identify these children earlier? So if it does get to this. And my suggestion would be to do it through shared services. If at all possible, to promote our preschool program, to work with the town to identify the children and the families that are at risk so that we can get them involved in the school system early. Many times we focus in shared services on facilities and fields and tangible things. Maybe it's time to switch that focus to the people and the students and the children. So that's my 2 cents there. My other question is about the separate question on the sun about. Was anything mentioned at school boards about that? So I'm a little confused as to.
Wasn't even discussed at anything that we went to.
Okay, because my question would be, $500 million is a lot of money for a separate question. And I know it's supposed to go for school security, water safety, expanding the programs for community college and vocational schools. Just wondering if there was any information as to how that $500 million would be passed along to the school districts.
I was in one session where that was touched upon, but it was really touched upon less on the school security side and more along the allocation, because vocational education was brought into it. So those are the magnet schools, and the discussion was how do districts get their hands on some of that money and not have it all go to the 21 county vocational districts. So, but it was a short session. There were really no solutions talked about. It was more or less an awareness thing to say this is one more thing for the district to think about when you think about the question. There wasn't anything on that.
There's no formula as to how this is going to be handed out, or
No presentation from school boards that I saw. This was
Or the
really-
Commissioner
Yeah.
of Education, or
Yeah.
any of the details that were there.
unfortunately, that's what I thought.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much.
Anyone else?
I have a couple of random things. It's all kind of just in relation to what was discussed. I didn't come here with anything I was planning on talking about, so I'll try to go quickly and stay in the limit. And I know I do have questions, and I know I'm supposed to state my comments and then ask the questions, so I will try to do that. The first thing, I was just thinking, when you were talking about there's so many things we'd love to do, we have to deal with now state aid cuts, but there's always going to be a money issue. I don't even know if this is legal, but is there a way to kind of package up what we would love to do in the district and put it out to the community and say, hey, are there any business sponsors who'd like to take this on? You know, it can be the Dairy Queen Media Center at North, whatever. But I feel like there's an opportunity that we're local businesses. We try to reward them, we involve them in the community. They're obviously a part of our everyday lives. I think there might be an opportunity to connect them to the schools in this way. And obviously the dollar amounts would matter, but if there's kind of like a Chinese menu of things that we would love to do in the schools and you put a dollar amount next to them, would we be able to go out into the community and encourage the parents to then go to these businesses and say, hey, can you help me do this at my kid's school? Your name would be on it, it would be promoted. It would be kind of a nice marrying, I think, of the district with the community. And at the end of the day, the kids would benefit. So I just wanted to throw that out there as a potential way to maybe bridge some of these finance gaps that we're running into. That was the one that didn't really have a question. Everything else is a question. This one should be quick. Nick, the documentary that you mentioned, is that available for people to see?
It is not yet available.
But it will be soon, I believe. They're going to come up with one in November, right?
Right, they're hoping to put it out on YouTube.
Perfect, okay.
And to do a ribbon, right, they were gonna do like either at the Middletown Arts Center, or there was a couple other Vic Bears that mentioned.
Other big
Stay
facilities.
tuned, more to come,
Yeah.
coming out of South as to where they were gonna do like
A premiere?
Screening.
Yes,
There you go,
it's a
yeah.
premiere.
Yeah.
Screening,
Yes.
okay, awesome. No, I think that's an amazing thing to
Open
hear
to the
about.
public.
Yes.
And I think it would be awesome to kind of scream that one from the rooftops and really
Yes.
kind of toot a horn on that one. And I know I talked last time about the idea of having a newsletter or something that gets pushed out to the parents. This would be a perfect thing. I mean, the Future Ready stuff, the Google internship presentation with the photos, that's amazing. Like, wish more parents knew that stuff was going on. So I'm happy to hear it's happening, and I'm happy to hear it'll get pushed out.
And please help us by letting everyone know that, I don't know anyone else who actually videos and films and puts on the website all their meetings, and we actually very purposefully separate those presentations so the public can see.
Yes, no, and I've been kind of delving a little more into what is available to the public by way of governing body meetings, and I'm very happy that you guys do what you do, because not many of our surrounding towns do it either at the board level or at the kind of township committee governing body level. So it's very appreciated by the public. Thank you. This is just another quick question. I just want to make sure I understand to be able to relay it back to the Nuts One parents. For the kindergarten pilot, would parent permission be required? Yes. So no kid would be put into this program unless the parent fully agreed.
It's voluntary and it's
Entirely,
not
okay.
a change in program.
Got it. And then this is kind of the biggest one that I wanted to come up with. I know many of you were there because I saw you at both the Township Committee Meet the Candidates Night and also the Board of Ed Meet the Candidates Night. And I think one of the things that I heard kind of universally with every candidate's response was the importance of shared services between the township and the district. And as a taxpayer, obviously, I want you guys working as closely as possible because it's my dollar goes further. I know that there have been some logistical issues with getting the shared services folks from the Board of Ed and the township together. And obviously you're all volunteers, you guys are doing this outside of your 9-to-5s and your other lives, and I don't know if the public fully realizes and appreciates that, but I do. I was just wondering if there are other opportunities for the township, and maybe it's already happening, I guess that's what I'm asking, are there more meetings happening between the district and the administration, like the township administrator, Mr. Mercantante, and his folks, that are happening during the normal work week, quote unquote, without the board and the township committee men and women present, or is this entirely happening only at the governing body level?
Yes, we do regularly communicate with the appropriate administrators at the township, between the different administrators with the board and the township on day-to-day issues and things that would not rise to the level of an elected official meeting.
Okay.
So, yes.
Good. Okay, and then kind of the bigger though, like we should be doing this, what could else we be doing, that's kind of reserved for the other folks? Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Again, I know it means like beating a dead horse. Nobody says, hey, we really shouldn't do shared services.
Security and police is a real good example.
Yeah. No, and that one I knew about specifically with Mr. McGuire, and I knew all that stuff was happening.
Mr. Mercantante and Amy and I.
Good. Okay.
We collaborate on some of these things. We collaborate on some
you guys are probably wanting to beat your head against the wall, because I know everybody wants to work more together, and I'm sure the township committee wants to work more with the Board of Ed. It just seems like sitting as a taxpayer and hearing both sides and being like, well, why can't dots just be connected? Why can't the hands be connected? It's a little bit frustrating. So I know it's sometimes difficult, but I encourage you guys to keep trying, because I think at the end of the day, the kids and the taxpayers benefit the most. And then my one last thing, and I'm assuming I know the answer, but I'd ask anyway. Does the district have a recommended response to voters for the question on the ballot regarding funding, the $500 million?
I don't know if that's appropriate for the board to say.
No? Okay.
at this juncture.
Thought I would try. Okay.
Your portion 5 minutes.
Got it. I'll go. You could have been, I would have stopped. Okay. Thank you all very much.
All right, seeing no one else at the mic, we're going to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Aye.